Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
To the Late Show with Kitt Adams. I'll be your host for the next few hours, up until about 12 o'clock, but we have a good night coming up. We have a couple of guests in for a bit of an interview. We have a local comedian, a documentary maker, and also delves into a little bit of conspiracy theories, Tim Kershaw, aka Tim Foil Hat. And also Jane Lee has come in, who does a little bit of acting and singing and dancing and choreography, and she's got a few strings in her bow, so we'll have a bit of a chat about that and find out what's going on in the acting industry around WA. And then later on we'll have some more clues to the competition we got running. But for now we'll go to a song and then come back and have a bit of a chat with our guests. Let's go to Disassociation by the Rions.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
All right, and we're back. That was a little bit of Disassociation by the Rions. You're now listening to The Late Show with Kitt Adams, and we have Tim Kershaw in the studio. How you doing, Tim?
Good, Kitt. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad, mate. And Jane Lee, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good.
That's
Thanks to you
good.
both for coming in.
You are welcome.
To have a bit of an interview, a bit of a chat and stuff like that. And we were just talking during that song. Let's just go straight into conspiracy theory stuff straight away, because it's fairly new and relevant and stuff. Balenciaga.
Yeah, just a casual start. Okay.
Just a casual start, you know. We'll just touch on the easy topics to start with. But no, have you guys heard about Balenciaga?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the fashion label, Jane?
Not a lot.
I think they
Not
also
much.
just released Kanye West. I think he was a part of. He was doing something with them as well at the same time.
When they were the whole Kimye thing. And
Yeah.
they were still together, yeah.
And they're
then
like, hey, we
split.
can't associate with you, Kanye, but also.
Oh, because of Kanye's whole thing recently as
but
well.
But also, we're going to tie these teddy bears up and take photos of them.
Yeah, way missed the mark on that one. But yeah, to be honest, I hadn't really heard much of Balenciaga before this either, apart from it being name dropped in a few songs by, like, I think Cardi B or Beyonce or something like that. They've got their Balenciagas and stuff, but then all of a sudden I hear this hashtag Balenciaga things going on because of their latest ad campaign where they had teddy bears, kids, toddlers, the ages of maybe 5 or 6, something like that, holding teddy bears in bondage gear. Right off, you know, like they've way missed the mark with this one.
Yeah, but what we were saying is like, how many choices does the fashion industry even have anymore?
Yeah, true.
Like,
yeah.
How long has the industry been going? Like,
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is sort of, they call it shockvertising. They're advertising just on the premise of trying to just shock people and stuff, you know. So, yeah, like you said, there's only so far they can go.
Yeah. And then you just make a mistake at some point. Like, I'm not sticking up for them. I think it's horrible.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny to think of, like, if I was a fashion designer, how many dresses have I got in me before I start panicking, making bad decisions?
Yeah, just start winging it and then just making it up on the
I'm
fly.
going to put 2
and then
belts
they've
on his
missed the mark.
shoulders and,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, when I first heard about this cancel Balenciaga thing, I heard it was way more extreme. Like there was hardcore child abuse going on and like Hunger Games sort of things, you know. And I was like, what? That got my attention.
Yeah.
And so I looked into it and I found out it's definitely not good. Definitely not a good look for any fashion label to be doing this stuff. But yeah, they do have a little bit of a history of it doing.
The conspiracy is that when they took the photos, on one of the tables was some law court documents that was around pedophilia. It was around a law that got passed.
Oh, right.
To sort of ease some of that stuff. That's the real dirty shit.
Like they're trying to make it mainstream and stuff like that.
There's like a little suggestion in there about that goes deeper than just like, oh, hey, we made a mistake with the teddy bears. They actually put some legal documents. And that's the thing that people are upset about because that's illegal. You can't do that.
Yeah. And now they're obviously backtracking and stuff. Kim Kardashian, who was their ambassador apparently, this is all stuff I've just found out recently. She's come out and said that she was disgusted by the photo shoot. She's going to be talking to him, and now Balenciaga have apologised. And Kim's apparently okay with it because they've apologised. But yeah, they're trying to sue the photographer.
Yeah, what a poor guy.
Yeah, well, just offloading. Just
So imagine that. You're going for a photography gig and now you're in a lawsuit.
yeah. You think you're doing well working for Balenciaga,
That's
and then
right.
all of a sudden you're getting sued for millions, or I don't actually know the figure on it, but yeah, just going into damage control trying to pass the buck.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian, all right? Enough money and she kind of like,
Yeah. That's all right. We'll let that slide. But no, way off the mark. But anyway, I suppose we started the show with a pretty heavy topic.
Yes.
It's not just conspiracy theories you get into, Tim. You do a bit of comedy as well.
yeah, stand-up comedy now,
Yeah.
5-6 years.
5 or 6 years.
Going
Yeah,
for it.
right. And just around Perth and stuff.
Now branching out,
Yeah.
Perth Comedy Festival again this year, Melbourne Comedy Festival. Oh, well, next year. I'm already in 2023 in my
Yeah,
mind.
right.
And then, other states, other clubs.
What's the comedy industry like around WA? I mean, I don't imagine it's really on the map as a place to go, but
small?
it's bigger than I realised.
Yeah, probably bigger than you'd think, but it's
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
It's starting to expand. It's only really starting to get somewhere.
Yeah,
Everyone
right.
used to always move away, from what I heard. There's a lot of really good comedians that came from Perth,
Yeah.
but they all left
Go over
straight
to Eastern
away.
States to get work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then so now maybe it's the first time that sort of little clubs are popping up and sticking around and getting 2 or 3 years behind them, and people are starting to work from here
yeah, right.
around Australia. But
Actually getting like full-time work and stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, the work here for comedy is great because you go and do regionals. We do a regional tour
Yeah.
Oh,
called
right.
the Flannel Panel, which is like we just go and do anything.
Yeah.
And then you've got mining gigs on top of that, so that's pretty prevalent. And then it's a big state, so you can go up north and down south if you can branch out
Yeah.
better. So it's a pretty nice place. You just don't get recognised by the rest of Australia. They couldn't care less about Western Australia.
As soon as they find out you're from WA. What about in the acting industry, Jane? Do you find the same thing? Is it hard to get a name for yourself when you're based in WA?
Oh, pretty much. Well, I was actually in the UK for 12 years and then LA. So, of course, over
Right.
there's a lot more opportunity.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot more competition as well.
Yeah, right.
But if you stick it out, I gave myself 6 months and thought, right, if nothing's happening, I'm going to turn around and go home.
6 months, was that the UK or LA?
I just put
months?
it like a time frame.
Yeah.
When I got there and just thought, right, okay, if nothing's happening after 6 months, I'll probably start terribly running out of money, because it's so expensive. And then, I just hung in there and got myself, working in the right place,
Yeah.
which was actually Pineapple Studios was my first job. And that's where all the auditions and things were happening. So,
Yeah, right.
luck of the game, really, isn't it?
Is LA brutal?
I've actually only got acting friends over in LA, so I went over there to visit them, and then things kind of looks like I'll be heading back over there next year, which is great. I sort
business? Have you got?
yes, I
potential
sort
gigs
of
lined up?
don't really. A very very good friend just happens to be the contract writer and founder of, and she writes all the contracts for the actors of SAG, so the
Yeah,
Screen
right.
Acting Guild. So it's a good contact to have.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
won't mention
It's
her
always
name
what
too
you know
much
till you
because she
know.
might not be very
Just
impressed.
name dropping.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Yes, I won't go there. But as far as the UK is concerned, then I came back after a very long period of time and flew back another 3 times because I'm actually a triple threat. So with the acting, the dancing,
Yeah,
and
do a
the
bit of singing,
singing.
dancing and stuff as well.
Yes,
But mainly
so-
acting in LA? Is that where
Bit of both, really, because of with my friend who is actually one of the heads of SAG. We worked together in London. That's how we met.
Yeah, right.
I was a choreographer. She was a director. She was doing that thing. I was doing all the dancing, all the choreography, all the artistic direction, and then of course we had the the music side of it as well. So it was the 3 genres, rolled in. What we were doing productions and things like that. And we worked together on several things, and that's how we met.
Yeah, right.
So it's really, it's a tough industry. It is really, like you're saying, it's really hard in WA.
Is there much of a support network, or is it sort of cutthroat, like people aren't sort of offering you jobs and stuff like that? You've really got to go out there and get them, or is there a good support network where people are giving you tips and stuff like that?
I found when I went to London, it was incredibly pretentious and
Oh,
you
right.
had to be very strong, you
Yeah.
know.
Stiff upper lip sort of thing.
Yeah, so, you know, you'd walk into an audition, you'd literally take your number,
Yeah.
you know, and then I just, you know, walked in there and thought, you know, this girl, you know, she looked me up and down, like from head to toe, you know, and I thought, okay, then, right, okay, so this is what it's like, okay, right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and very, very quickly I had to just toughen up.
Yeah, right.
You know, it was sink or swim, like, and I thought, no, I came here to stick it out. I'm going to break through, you know.
And how long did you do in the UK?
12 years.
12 years.
Yes,
in the
I'll
UK.
be going
Wow.
back there next year
Yeah.
and then over to LA as well.
Busy
But I'll
lady.
keep you posted because I don't really like to say too much unless, you know, until the
Until it's
dates
locked
are
in and
concrete,
stuff.
till
Yeah.
it's locked in, you know.
Nah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yes, so I'll keep you posted on that one. But it's exciting. It is exciting. Yeah.
Many opportunities here in WA?
Look, I'm doing okay at the moment. Since COVID, I don't know about yourself, but since all the COVID, you know, regulations and laws and the mask wearing and all of that has lifted,
Yeah.
the film industry took off. Everybody was excited. You know, functions, events, gigs, you know, like it just all went boom.
Yeah,
So
right.
at the moment, it's pretty good, especially with my singing as Jane Lee, my vocal duo, which is J&P.
A little bit versatile, so it gives you more options, I suppose.
I am a versatile artist. I'll have to blow my own trumpet on that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
can
that's
you
all
do
right.
jazz?
You got
I
to mix
can.
it up.
Can you do party
adapt
stuff?
and improvise every now and then.
Yes,
What
yes.
about the comedy clubs, Sim? Like coming out of COVID, like you said, you've been doing it 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah,
COVID's like right in the middle of that, man.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was about to move to Melbourne.
Oh right,
Yeah, well,
right.
I
yep.
was before COVID happened. I was like really considering getting out of here.
Yeah,
But then
and
that
so you
2 year-
backtracked on that as soon as COVID hit and they went into
Yeah.
massive lockdowns.
It wasn't a choice at all,
Yeah.
but then we're all locked in here, but you could go travel regionally. So that's how regional stuff started.
Oh, right.
And we started figuring out how to sell tickets and how to book venues, and we just did it all ourselves.
So you were still doing comedy gigs through COVID and stuff?
Yeah, we did like 80 shows during
Wow.
COVID in total.
Far out.
Yeah, and built like a comedy group that tours regionally.
Yeah,
and a whole
right.
thing.
I suppose going through that with some comedians and stuff like that, you sort of create a bit of a bond with like a local network of comedians, eh?
Yeah, well, there's 3 of us, and it turned out that it was a real classic. Everyone in the car on a Friday with Esky in the back and all of the equipment, and drive to the next town and
Just go for it.
do the show.
Old
and
school tour
there
style.
might be 10 people, there might be 50, and yeah,
Wow.
we definitely saw like every rough town in the southwest,
right.
Western Australia.
Really?
Yeah, but they were lovely. Like they love it.
What's some of the roughest gigs you've done?
Oh man, the list is so long. Hey, because I go and chase.
It's hard sometimes.
I go
You
and
do some
chase
gigs in some
terrible
weird
gigs.
places,
Oh
eh?
yeah,
Oh,
done
last
some
week.
shockers.
Yeah. I mean,
Last
look at
week,
now, you're doing an interview at IPL Radio. No, joke.
No, this is fun
Don't
here.
cut that out, mate.
We're actually having a good time
Yeah,
here.
no, this is all right. But you must end up in some pretty rough bars and stuff when you're doing these regional tours.
Yeah, I treat it as like all training. So last week,
Yeah, right.
I did a 30-minute gig in a park at 11 a.m. on a Sunday to a yoga studio,
Really?
Christmas party,
How do you go with that?
just after years of doing all the other stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a TAB in one of the northern suburbs of Perth
A TAB.
to people that didn't want me to be there.
Because they're sitting there having a punt looking at the screen.
They didn't know comedy was happening. You know, like at a TAB, I'm pretty sure you don't want someone watching you bet your life savings away,
Yeah.
let alone try to talk to you about it. So
Yeah, right.
that was one of the hardest
Not
bombs
much
of my
crowd
life.
interaction in that gig, eh?
Yeah, except telling me to fuck off. I don't know if you can swear on this.
We get away with a little bit here and there. It's a late night show, so
Yeah.
it's not too bad. But as long as it's all in context.
Yeah, I could go for days on the rough gigs because even
Wild,
when
man.
I started, there wasn't many open mic rooms for people just to start.
Yeah.
So I started doing open music rooms.
Oh, right.
So I'd like try and squeeze myself between 2 people.
In
Music
between
groups do
sets.
like 10 to 15 minutes, and I'd
Yeah.
never really done comedy, and I'm trying to do 10 minutes to a really loud room, and they could be.
Wow.
And that's how I kind of started. So that was my
Wow.
introduction.
And you end up doing a gig for a yoga class at 11 o'clock a.m.
Yeah.
on a Saturday. You've got to adjust your material much for that, or?
I didn't really, no. Nah, because
just let them have it.
Well, because at this stage I'm building towards the festival, and I've been doing it 6 years, so I kind of like have a rhythm that I like, and if it's going to get across, if I can get this across to this yoga studio during the day in a park, then I know I can really get it happening for a show.
Yeah, it's probably one of the hardest places to try and win a crowd over and stuff.
But I'd say I'm in that.
Were they doing yoga at the time?
No.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
Were you?
I was, look, I was a little bit scared. I was sweating for sure. And I filmed it because I was like, this is either going to go well or terribly. So that's something that I filmed. But before me, unfortunately, they had a yoga quiz.
Oh.
That was the warm-up.
Right.
Very monotoned yoga quiz. And then they're just like, well, here's your comedy. I'm like, all right.
Far out. Yeah, that must have got the crowd fired up for you.
Yeah.
Unreal.
But it's, it's fun because you got to use all the tools.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out. And that's the long journey. Like, it's easier to write jokes than to figure out how to hold an audience.
Yeah, right.
And same with your stuff. Like, if you're doing music, the venue's different, the room's different.
Absolutely.
If people think you just go in and sing, but you got to hold these people. You got to
get their attention,
get them in, and that's the tools of the trade.
You do. It's like, because I'm used to theatre and stage. I'm very much
I was going to ask with
West
the acting,
End theatre, stage. Like I was saying
Broadway
before,
style.
it's a triple threat. So when COVID hit, it's like several people, more than a handful, said to me, Jane, you've got to take it off the stage. Do what you do off the stage. Because I was going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Oh no, all this panic.
Yeah.
I was allowed to take private lesson one-on-one under the umbrella of dance education because, I used to teach at WAPA, third year Bachelor of Arts, so I was allowed to do that dance ed thing, so I was getting away with that and poking my student with a stick at a 1.5. But, the income kind of goes, doesn't it? So I then went into, from media, like TV, stage, theatre world, where your audience is sitting down paying to watch you.
That's what they've come to sit and see a show, so you've got
bar, like you're saying, bar, cocktail bar, which New Year's Eve is a cocktail bar. We actually have a ball at Smalls bar down in Eton in Bunbury. A cocktail bar atmosphere, and like you said, working the crowd, feeling the crowd, learning. I just listen to people and watch people and try and figure out what they like, what they don't like. And the thing is with our repertoire is we've got a massive repertoire on the night. So I'll just look at my, my vocal duo partner who runs the songs from his, and we'll just go like next one, like skip the next one.
Oh, skip it. Yeah,
so
that
we'll
one's
just
not
get
gonna
a
work.
feel. You know what? This next song,
work.
let's just go with this one. The people are up dancing. Okay, let's skip the next one. Let's keep it up here. So we just gauge, like you're saying, you gauge the crowd.
Yeah,
and you
do a bit of MC work as well. So you get much crowd interaction and stuff like that.
Big time.
Yeah,
I think because I've been a theatre performer and a very like from the Crown to my sister and I used to be the singers at the Wacker. We were for the Western Reds and all the rugby and go out into thousands of people and
that's big crowds.
Yeah, so when
eyes on you.
Yeah, so when I met the IPL crew at the Royal Show, I was going into the middle of the arena and there's like about 50,000. It was like, to me, it's like playing a crowd of 40 and playing a crowd of 40,000 or whatever. It feels the same.
Oh, right.
To me, it feels the same. I just give it the same energy, and I might use my crowd of 40 actually as a little tester. To try things out too, so I'm still giving my audience or my client or whatever the same delivery. But like I was saying to my vocal duo, because we rehearse like religiously every week, and I was saying to him, I give the same feel and the same delivery for a small crowd as what I do for a large
40
crowd.
Or 40,000.
Doesn't matter how small, how big it is.
I don't know if I've got 10 listeners or 10,000 listeners,
right.
But I just do the same every week. But I don't talk in front of big crowds and stuff, but I think I have sometimes, and I picture people naked. Not because like the old thing of like, if you're worried about talking in front of people, just like picture them naked. I just like to picture people naked. So.
Yeah, you do really well at Balenciaga. I think you could do some marketing
going
opportunities over there.
Yeah. Just see if they've got any openings. I'm sure there.
Just picture everyone as a small bear with belts on their shoulders.
But don't you think that photographer, if that was you, I would have walked into the job with my camera and my gear and just gone, no.
That's a fair point.
Morally,
Yeah.
morally, I would have gone no.
There's
It
got to be
feels
some
so wrong.
situational awareness of what they're involved in at the
It
time.
would have hit me
so-
right there, just
Yeah.
like in the spirit, just
But
like
maybe
I
you
can't.
would have thought like it's just so it's so ridiculous that you're like, okay, like you know what I mean, and you just take your photo and
I suppose when you're working for a company like Balenciaga, you would have seen some pretty wild setups. So maybe it was just like sort of eased into it, like the first shoot they done for them was a little bit shocking, and then it sort of took the edge off and they become accustomed to it and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, we've gone too far, So maybe I understand what you're saying. Like you would have walked in and seen the setup and gone, this isn't right for me to be taking photos of. But with sort of the shocking advertising that Balenciaga do and always trying to push it to that next level. Maybe it's
and the
just what
whole
they've become
fashion
accustomed
industry.
to.
I mean, you wouldn't be a photographer in the fashion industry, maybe.
Yeah, true. If you
if
weren't,
if you were just like walking out of jobs, but yeah, good on
you
them.
are who you're with.
Yeah,
Yeah, the people you surround
you
yourself
wears
with.
off.
top 5 people. I
Like
love
a
that rule.
fire.
The top 5 people that you hang out with is like collectively is who you are.
You are who you're with.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Have you ever heard that? So the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with
Yeah,
is kind of a collective of who you
they make up
are.
who you are.
I've always thought that's a
That's-
cool idea.
That's interesting. I've never really thought about it, but it sort of makes sense, So yeah, that's cool. Anyway, I might just quickly cut to another song, and then we'll come back soon and continue with a bit of a chat.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
All right, that was a little bit of Masterpiece by the Rubens. You're now back listening to The Late Show with Kitt Adams, and we've got a couple of special guests in tonight, Tim Kershaw and Jane Lee. I was just asking them about a few classes and stuff during that song. So, Tim, I was just asking if you've ever done any classes, and
I said no.
yeah, you've never done any classes. Just threw yourself in the deep end, and
That's how I saw it. I started
Yeah.
when I was 30. So, and I was the chef for 14 years or something.
Wow.
So I just was like,
A cooking comedian.
yeah.
yeah, I
So
don't cook
That would
anymore.
be a good show.
We have a show. It's the hospitality show.
Oh right.
Yeah, at Fringe and stuff. It's like a Fringe show.
And it's comedy.
And it's comedy.
I love it.
And we tell stories from, because I was a fine dining chef. So I tell horrific
wow.
fine dining stories.
Oh,
Working for
wow.
George Columbaris and Neil Perry and
Oh
Wow.
really?
working out of the UK. I was in the UK for quite a
Yes.
few years as
Oh,
well.
the way
Colin
they
Barnes.
do it, the catering over there is another level.
Yeah, and that's all.
Really?
I was in the thick of the Gordon Ramsay era. I didn't work for Gordon Ramsay, but some of his disciples. But
Did
Wow.
you have the same language as Gordon?
yeah, he was my hero. I threw pans.
Through pans.
I threw pans, and it was like, yep, that was
It's
like
an accepted thing.
Did it feel
check.
good?
Wow.
It did feel good, but then you look back and so like that's the kind of the story behind my part of the hospitality show is like looking back on all the things that we used to do that were acceptable, that when you come out of that industry are just so unacceptable in the real world. You couldn't imagine yelling at someone or throwing pans at people.
That's
or-
it. And yelling at
Burning
the
people.
front of house staff.
I always liked the front of house staff because I would swap food for alcohol
Yes, true.
and I needed coffee.
Nice.
You would have needed a lot of coffee.
Yeah, stuck after.
I was always nice and always, they were the only girls that I'd seen in my life because I was in a kitchen 15 hours
Yes.
a day. So
You're going to be nice to them. So how do you go from raging at your sous chef in a kitchen to then making people laugh? What was that transition? Were you cracking a few jokes in the kitchen?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's like crazy people in kitchens. I think that's why
Yeah.
I stuck at it for such a long time. I wasn't like an office person or a normal person at all.
Yeah, right.
So
Working those hospitality hours.
yeah, I think maybe at some point I would have missed the banter that goes on in a kitchen 15 hours a day because
right.
it gets brutal in there and some funny things happen.
Yeah.
And maybe that helped lead to comedy.
Into comedy.
But it definitely helped me start. Like I didn't need to do a course or a class or anything. I was just
Yeah.
like, just go and do the most brutal part of it.
Out of the kitchen
just
into
grind.
the fire.
It's very
of
creative
comedy.
though. Like it's creative what you do in
Yeah.
the kitchen.
Yeah. it
Yeah.
is.
Like, it's picturesque.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like
absolutely. Especially
magazine.
when you get to that sort of fine dining level
The
and stuff
level
like
that
that.
Tim's at, like it's
Yeah.
amazing.
But
Awesome.
it's so ridiculous as well. Like, because, you know, a chef would come along and he'd taste your food and he'd be like, what onion did you use? And you're like, red? And he's supposed to be white. Throw it out.
Really?
And like it didn't mean anything at the time. You're like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. What did I use red onion for?
Wow.
But then if you think about it, like now I cook at home and I'm like, sometimes I have flashbacks and I've like burnt the onions and I'm like, oh fuck, because like someone's going to come and get you.
Yeah, right.
Oh, they go off at you. They don't even say, oh man, that's bad. They just come and like rip you to shreds, So
For wastage and stuff like
Wow.
that.
yeah, PTSD, definitely.
That is brutal, man. What's harder, like dealing with that sort of brutality or dealing with a hard crowd on stage that you just can't?
I
Get a
like
rise out
dealing
of.
with hard crowds. That's fun. But I reckon I get more nervous doing comedy than I did walking into a kitchen,
Yeah.
for sure.
Far
Yeah,
out. And you said you worked for George Columbaris.
I did,
Like
during-
MasterChef, George.
During the start of MasterChef.
Oh, really?
We talk about some of that as well.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yep.
And some of that stuff that sort of brought Georgie down in the end of him underpaying his staff and stuff like that, was that anything that was around in your day or?
Oh, yeah, he still owes me $8,000.
Yeah, it does. Gonna have to catch up with him soon for that one.
And the only revenge I have is to tell every audience I ever meet or any radio show that I go on. That's the only.
Yeah, it
But
does.
he was the poor thing about
$8,000. Oh,
that's nothing. People
Yeah.
imagine the front of house staff that what they would have
Wow.
needed,
Just-
because we were all on
Yeah.
salaries. The problem was that when you're a chef, you're on a salary,
Yeah.
and they say, "Oh, okay, 45 hours at normal rate,
Yeah.
you get normal salary, and then you just do 85 hours that week,
The overtime.
but you don't get paid overtime because it's in your contract." So that was like
Oh, wow.
that was totally standard, because otherwise you guys would go to the restaurant and you're like paying $150 for a steak.
Right.
It wouldn't have ever
That's not
worked
going to
out.
happen.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that they're reforming the hospitality industry. Great, but also
What
that
kind
was,
of reforms?
well, now they're going to pay overtime.
Oh, right. Yeah,
now they're
got
going to
ya.
employ more chefs.
And so, are we going to see steaks go up to $150 to go in and
Probably
get your
do.
ribeye?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
but is there
Okay.
like you look in the kitchen? There's 20 guys in there. How much do you think your food should cost? you
Man,
know?
I don't know how they make money sometimes. Hey, look at what you're getting, and I think like, I can't make it at home for this price.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for this establishment, all the equipment to set it up, and then the staff to cook it, and the actual product itself. I know they get stuff a bit cheaper than we can get it through the supermarkets and stuff like that, but still, I just don't see the margins in there, But,
Yeah.
what about yourself, Jane? Do you ever have a sort of civilian job before you got into the entertainment industry?
absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The hospitality thing was always a good thing to fall back on.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you'd be amazed at how many people in the arts
Yeah.
have that too as their background.
Yeah,
Because
right.
I didn't know a thing about silver service until I went to London.
Yeah.
Didn't know a thing about it. And I got sent to Alexander Palace. Did you know where that was? Okay. So
The silver
this
service where you got to make sure you got like all the spoons and
serving
there's,
on
like,
the left, clearing on the right,
Right,
all of that.
Napkin over the wrist.
Napkin,
Yeah, right.
showing the label, thumb up the bum of the bottle,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Which seems quite unnecessary.
Sounds like that thumb
Quite
up
unnecessary.
the bum,
Did anybody ask the bottle consent first? Far out.
So I ended up because I thought, well, you know what, might go to Sony Music
Oh,
and
right.
do some private dining, like be their little own, what I call myself, silver service waitress.
That's
They just have their own, Sony Music, got their
Wow.
own private dining room there, and I very cleverly worked my way in through that as well. They found out I could
Were you
sing.
just like singing as you're
They're-
bringing out the food and stuff? And
and in actual fact, during I was, and during COVID, I there's a Smalls Bar and Bites down in Eaton in Bunbury, which is owned by the Prosses and Ben Smalls.
Yeah.
When COVID came in, it was like we were the first people shut down, weren't we? Just went smack, and they said. I walked into the actual cocktail venue because it's really pretty to look at night time, and they said they're just talking to them. I said, "Oh, do you have any work going here? Because I've got an RSA." And yeah, actually, we're desperate. Like we are desperate for stuff because
Wow.
everybody was on such a high rate with Centrelink that nobody wanted to work. So
Yeah, right.
anyway, so I went in there, but I'd already provided entertainment for this company prior to going in as front of house and
Yeah.
doing functions for them and things like that, sort of little functions and things, because, make people happy and for their private parties and things like that. And so basically front of house, which then led to performing there. You see, and I do spin around with the trays, and I was singing to the customers and doing all that. Yeah.
And what about once you started actually performing there and doing your shows, where you're still serving in between shows and stuff? No.
Absolutely not.
That's the hospitality industry.
No.
Serve this and then sing.
Sing, dance for me.
Well, I did that for Terry Venables as well. He had a private restaurant called Scribes. And the whole thing, it was all rehearsed. Oh, Janie, put down the plate and get up and give us a song. And that's, so we just played on that. That was Terry Venables. He was the England's football coach.
Oh, right.
Terry Venables, if you Google him, you'll see what he's all about. But, he had a really beautiful restaurant called Scribes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and do you still have many contacts in the hospitality industry?
I do.
Yeah,
it's a good industry to have contact. It's good to know chefs. It's good to. It's good. It's a good industry. Look, the world is unpredictable these days. It's unpredictable. It's always good to have that something else too. There's other things that I have. I'm actually a qualified fitness instructor as well.
Oh right.
But it's good to have those things to fall back on, because some of the industries never shut down during COVID, did they?
Yeah.
Everybody needs to eat or wants to eat.
I found it strange that coffee didn't shut down. Like, I knew why, but remember that coffee never shut down. Because I think the wheels would just fall off society.
Takeaway didn't shut down. Had to be somebody in-house.
Because if you think about it, that's definitely a COVID spreader, but we just couldn't shut it down. These people will revolt if you take coffee out.
Yeah, there'll be people marching in the streets.
That's where the line was. The line was at coffee in the morning.
And what's the industry like at the moment? I know they were screaming for chefs and staff.
They're screaming for
staff.
staff.
They
staff.
are.
Like Perth is paying phenomenal rates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially at places like the Crown and like that. The rates are huge.
They got rid of all the backpackers. They got rid of all the backpackers and all the travellers, and that's like 3/4 of the industry.
Oh, wow.
And then like you're saying, they paid everyone else too much money, so people went and found other jobs. They were finally able. The thing about hospitality is it's hard to get out of. Yeah. It's kind of like a pyramid scheme. Like, you just keep coming back.
Once you're stuck there, you're not making enough money to actually venture out to anything else.
You just keep revolving over. So,
some venues are a lot of fun, aren't they?
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, right. What's the best venue you've ever worked at?
Oh, that's a hard question. Probably Sony Music.
Oh, right. Wow.
I had a ball. Used to get invited at the parties and the...
Like, best... Personally?
Yeah, one that you most enjoyed working at.
I think when I was a kid, like when I was 18 and stuff, the stuff that we used to do in kitchens was outrageous.
Yeah, right.
So they were fun times. But I mean, I worked at a pizza restaurant with no oversight that was like they'd paid the year off, but the business was going to shut down. So the owners didn't care what happened.
Yeah, right.
And so there was no like checking of any boxes or anything.
Right.
So, but it was lovely. Like, we're making wood-fired pizza. So you come in at 2 p.m. and you make wood-fired pizza and drink alcohol and hang out with all the cool people. And there was like
Sounds like a good gig.
And the wine cruises is good too as an artist.
Yeah.
Because you serve the wines and, put their food out, which is and then you sing, you entertain them.
Oh,
these Swan River wine cruises.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to have your RSA and you've got to be an entertainer as well, both.
Yeah.
It goes.
If anyone wants me to cook and do comedy, they can go to hell.
Cook and comedy at the same time.
The amount of times...
You're putting together your own fringe show that's basically about, well, I mean, you're not actually cooking, but...
The amount of times, like, especially regionally, where I, like, mention that I'm a chef on stage and do some comedy and stuff, the owner comes up to me and asks me if I want a job.
Really?
I was like a 90% strike rate.
I used to know this chef that said one of the best things about being a chef is whenever you go to like a barbecue or something like that, you're going to get the best steak that comes off that barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
Because they always want to impress the chef.
Yeah, you get a dude who's like, check out my dressing and stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. You always get that one person. The foodie, and the chef, that's a very funny dynamic.
And hard to make the transition when you did finally... When did you say, all right, I'm doing good at comedy now, I don't have to work in hospitality anymore?
I think I got out of hospitality and I started doing an urban farm and some sustainable stuff.
Oh, right.
Because I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
An urban
And
farm, where's that, like set up on the rooftop of a building or something?
bowling
or?
clubs. You go into a bowling club, and mine was in Fremantle, and you try and grow veg, and you sell
Yeah.
boxes, and you try and do that. But I soon realised that it was far too hard.
Yeah.
Just like chefing, like it was
The
another
amount
job.
of input
Yeah,
to
it was
what
like
you're
a
getting out of it.
personal problem I had to get over, where I worked too hard for not enough money.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, oh, okay. Although it was a lovely thing to do. And then during that, I hooked up with some guys, and I was doing stage shows with sustainable people and talking about food, and they were talking about gardening, and we would do these things.
Yeah,
And I think that's where the stage thing started in my brain.
And were you doing much comedy then, or was it just all about making people aware of sustainable?
I don't think I
urban
was. I
gardens?
think I was just starting. I think that kind of all just sort of happened at the
Slipping
same
a few
time.
jokes in here and there.
I can't remember.
No.
I don't think so. I wasn't writing jokes for those stage shows. I was just talking to them. But I think I was starting to do open mics at the same time, and coming out of urban farming. And then, it takes 2, 3, even 4 years to even get moving in comedy,
Yeah, right.
just to figure it out.
Far out.
Yeah.
And is that just sort of your building, or is that just like how long it takes to get a name, or how long
I still
until
don't
you
have
feel
a
like
name,
you've
dude.
got-
But
Oh man, people know you around town and stuff, like
Oh, yeah.
maybe not the eastern states and stuff, or Edinburgh Fest. That's maybe something down. Is that something down the track that you would consider going to Edinburgh? And
yeah, I think I'm a festival comedian. I love writing these themed hours. The hospitality show, we have the flannel panel is like an R-rated, like flannel show, like an Aussie
Right.
show.
all the boys are wearing flannel and bogans,
Yeah,
Bogan Central.
yeah, that's the regional show, man. That's what sells, and that's what we like to do.
Yeah,
And then my
cool.
show's obviously tinfoil hat, so that's kind of like a conspiracy-ish.
And
kind of
tinfoil
theme
hat,
show.
is that mostly focused on the conspiracy theories, or is it just
Not
a sort
really.
of light side of the conspiracy
Yeah,
theories?
definitely light. I just find
Yeah.
it such a great way to get into conversations and to flip into comedy,
Yeah.
because you can argue both sides of a conspiracy
They
theory.
can be real divisive topics sometimes, conspiracy
Yeah.
theories and stuff, depending on what they are. People bring out their opinions. Like,
And it was a very heavy time. Like 2 years ago, it was so heavy
yeah.
with the word conspiracy theory. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want people to think, like, because I was doing the show during COVID at the festivals.
yeah,
I
right.
didn't want people to think, oh, no, this guy's just going to be badgering on about Donald Trump or something. So I have to figure out the balance of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just a nice way to talk about interesting things, or have an angle rather than either being political or either being narky about subjects or something. Just have a little
Yeah.
bit more fictitious and.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
I'll
have
have
to
to check it
Well,
out.
And how do you feel about Donald Trump coming back into power? Well, not coming back into power, but running for presidency again in 2024.
I don't
A lot of
know,
people are
dude.
saying he's a shoo-in, but I don't really get that involved with it. I just think, great, the circus is back on the road again.
Yeah,
but
like American politics is so crazy anyway. Like,
it's madness.
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
think there must be a few comedians and stuff that are like polishing off the old joke book and stuff and going, sweet, Trump's coming back. We'll get a few laughs out of this. But
look, if they couldn't get some jokes out of Joe Biden, then they should give up. Like
yeah,
that,
true.
he was more of a joke than
Yes.
Donald Trump
and I mean, that's
for
sort of-
comedians anyway.
yeah, that's what's being exposed now is that Trump actually ran the country pretty good. No matter what you think of him as a person, and I mean, to be honest, he says some stupid stuff sometimes.
Yes.
But actually ran the country pretty well as far as foreign policy and economics and stuff went, from what I know anyway. I don't really couldn't give you any numbers on any of that. It's just like sort of what I hear and stuff, But
Didn't want to wage for it.
Do you think we can get some entertaining people in Australia so we start talking about Australian politics at some point?
oh, our politicians are the worst,
it's
man.
so boring.
Yeah, we need some wild ones, I mean, like, we had Pauline Hanson for a while, but...
Yeah, but that was like dangerous wild, That wasn't like funny wild.
Yeah,
No, you
on
can't
the
sort of
edge.
back her at all. All you can do is take the piss out of her because you don't want to be aligned with her too much. Yeah.
Ours just seems so sleazy. Like there's no like entertainment to them whatsoever. You were in America, like everyone seems like a character over there.
I personally feel at home in the States because it's just like you meet somebody and they'll just say how it is.
Yeah.
There's no around the bush thing. There's, either
Just straight
they'll either like you or I don't like you. You know what I mean?
That's fair enough.
I like the whole black and white, where you stand. Yes,
Black people and white people, right? That's what you're talking about, aren't you?
I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, just, you just know where you stand. There's no beating around the bush. That's what I found anyway.
And mostly in LA over there? Or like you say that you do Broadway and stuff. Did you ever go? Because Broadway's New York, isn't it? Which is East Coast.
It is. I spent a long, 12 years in London.
Yeah.
So it was a long time. Also, too, I have to say it, and sorry if I offend anybody on air.
No, you're allowed to have
when
your
it
opinion.
comes to acting, I was there for a long time, and I'd have to say what I learnt there from my acting friends, my mentors, my employers. A lot of my employers were from Doctor Who series. They're actually in the series. They're on BBC. They're West End. So I was surrounded by very, very strong, because I was a lot younger too at the time, but I was surrounded by very strong people in the industry who were very established.
Yeah.
You know, as well.
So they've got a name for themselves. And
yes, so it was a great place for me to be.
Yeah, right.
It was wonderful. It's probably, if my name is said more so over there, there's quite a large circle of people that know me. And then, I came back here and...
Bunbury.
Oh, no, actually Perth. I'm a Perth girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a freelancer.
Yeah, right. And how long have you been based sort of in Perth now?
I'm actually, at the moment, I've just gone back down south now. I've been back there for the last 4 weeks. But I freelance between Bunbury and Perth. So anywhere, and Bunbury, Perth, and anywhere in between. And like you said, the regional projects, sometimes they take you away to different places. Like you were talking about, khaki regionals.
Yeah.
I went to Hyden just recently.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to my agent if she's listening, but
oh, really?
Oh my gosh, I don't like red dirt.
Was it your agent that lined you up with that gig?
Oh, look, we did have a good time. Hyden people just beautiful, lovely, lovely people. But and the wave rock was amazing. But I'm not a fan of red dirt. I've got a new car. I know red dirt in my
it gets
tyres.
through everything.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And where would you say has been one of your favourite places, because you've been around from UK to LA to now the southwest of Australia? Where's one of your favourite places to get gigs and the people that you work with and stuff?
I go to where the strongest offer is at the time.
Money.
Fair enough.
If it leads, yes, and also
Absolutely.
exposure and like we were talking before we came on air about Facebook and Instagram and stuff. I am terrible with posting on Instagram. So I do things like you were saying to yourself, weren't you, about you're a filmmaker as well, and you do all your docos and stuff, but you don't post anything out of yourself. Like, I'm getting way off track here.
But yeah,
going to the social media world.
Yeah.
But as far as I go to where the strongest offers are.
Right.
To where it's going to give, it's all about exposure too, and it's all about recognition.
Yep.
Sometimes when you take the job that's got the good money, it's not always wise, especially if it's in the outback or...
Depending on who you're working with and stuff.
I got sent to the Fitzroy Crossing. I hated every minute of it.
Right.
It's like the money was fantastic, and I thought, really, I shouldn't have done that. So you're saying, where is the... as far as best offers and things like that, or...
Yeah, I suppose. A bit of both, I suppose. Where's the best money and where's the people that you most prefer to work with?
Exactly. And it's also about quality of a gig.
Yeah.
Or quality, it's
Do you ever, like you just said, your agent and stuff like that, have you ever walked out of a gig and just said to your agent, never send me in there again? Just like a horrible gig that you haven't wanted to do again?
I said next, if I get sent, because the lady who organised the Hyden gig, Hyden 100, she actually asked me if I'd come back, another time. And I said I was with the agent at the time, and I said, only if they flew, I'd have to fly in. I'd have to fly in, fly
Do
out.
the gig, get out. Yeah. What sort of gig was it?
It was actually Hyden 100, which is an amazing event, and the Hyden people are just beautiful. They're mainly farmers, and of course, the wheat belt and everything's out there. And it was all performing arts based. It was taking you through the centuries or the years of 100 years of Hyden. It was.
Oh right.
Yeah. So the whole town was there. The fireworks display was amazing. It was all paid for by the farmers and, their own people. There was no grants or anything on it. And it was performing arts, modelling, singing, acting, and that's hence the Padua agency in Perth. And she just got a small group of us, the crew, videographers, photographers, myself on the dance side of it and the emceeing. So basically all the genres of the arts, we went in there and worked with some of the people in the town, and then for about 3 days, and then we put on the actual show.
Right. So you put it all together. This wasn't like a pre-rehearsed gig that you just flew in there and put on. You
went in there. It's like an intensive.
A 3-day workshop. Let's put together some shows with the locals.
Yeah, mainly the modelling too, because they actually had the original gear on, and props and everything from like years ago.
Wow.
Like the unicycle and the old.
Who's got a unicycle in Hayden?
Yeah, it's amazing. The original stuff from Hayden, and the kids were modelling it. It was quite amazing, actually. It was quite incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Tough unicycle up and down those hills out there, or during the
Sounds like they were actually nice people. Just a hard gig to get to, eh?
Beautiful people.
Yeah.
Yes, especially when you get lost and you end up on a gravel track.
Yeah. So it wasn't so much the actual gig itself; it was more the travel that.
Travel can get you. The travel can get you.
Look, I've been flying in and out of a lot of, like you said, you do regionals. Like Broome flew me in and out for the Walnuts Festival. Esperance flew me in and out about 3 or 4 times now. That's lovely when you fly in and out, but like you're saying, the travel gets you.
Yeah,
it can really get you.
Absolutely. And what about yourself, Tim? Where's doing the regional tour and stuff like that, mostly around WA and stuff. Where's sort of your favourite place to work and people to work with?
Well, I love working with the Flannel Panel. That's 2 other comedians that I know, and we're like good mates after 2 years of travelling together.
Now. Yeah.
So, and one of them's in America now, so we're going over there.
Oh, really?
At some point, yeah, he's setting up over there. But
and you're going to do the Flannel Panel over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
man.
it'll probably go better over there than it would here.
Yeah.
I never
it's a bit
thought
more gimmicky over there, right? Like they
Yeah.
just think, oh, there's my mates up on stage. But over in America, I suppose, it's like, oh, who are these guys?
I never thought I'd be a part of like a bogan show. Like I come from a really bogan town.
Yeah.
So, and I have a mullet. If we're on radio, you can't see it, but
yeah.
But I never thought that would be my angle. But yeah, in America, I'm sure that's going to kick off.
Yeah, right.
Like 3. Well, it's actually 2 bogans and then a yank. The American guy's back home.
Oh,
and he's from a trailer park, so he's like an American bogan.
Oh, he's a redneck.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Proper redneck.
Yeah, 2 bogans and a redneck.
Yeah.
That's right. And so he was an American that was here touring with you, doing the Flannel Panel regional tour.
Yep. For a few years.
Cool.
And we ended up doing, a bit of the East Coast as well. As far as me personally, look, now that I'm getting back out to the East Coast, I love like actual small basement comedy clubs.
Yep.
That's where I love doing comedy. And there's one called Good Chat in Brisbane. And it's probably my favourite venue that I've performed at so far.
Yeah,
and that's including theatres and stuff. So I guess, these tiny little dingy comedy clubs with amazing sounds
and stuff like that, or
you can really, like we're talking
get
about,
the energy going in a small
hold
crowd.
the audience, you can push and pull them a little bit better.
Yeah,
attention's on. There's this thing about comedy where like there's 2 or 3 steps to get a human being to kind of sit and watch and listen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you really get their attention, get them tuned into.
And it's not in a park, and it's not at 11 o'clock on a Sunday.
It's
got to be
not
dark,
part of
low.
Comedy 101.
No, dark, low, underground, tight. That's why they put tight seats in. When you kind of like, you sit closer than you should at a comedy club.
Yeah, you're all shoulder to shoulder with people and stuff.
You're facing forward.
Yeah,
make that person feel safe and comfortable, so they
safe and comfortable, and force them to look forward.
Yeah, and a big one light on the person that's controlling the room, essentially.
Yeah. How do you go with the spotlight sometimes? Do you ever get like...
Love it.
Love it?
Yeah, you get addicted
when you
to
can't
it.
see the crowd.
I love the spotlight. And when it's not on me, I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Bring my light back.
Hello.
Yeah, right. And who are some people that you look up to, like getting into comedy and getting into acting, Jane?
Wow. Like, I just saw Louis C.K. when he came here to Perth. He's one of my favorite all-time comedians. Bill Hicks changed my life.
He's not bad, Louis C.K. Like that whole cancel culture almost got him, but he seemed to get through it all right. You know, like,
yeah, he lost
he's a
$50
little bit
million,
Teflon.
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's all right.
just like just hero comedians, I guess, kind of got me. I don't wonder if there's any Australians. There's some I like Luke Heggie, and I've met Luke Heggie, and he inspires me as an Australian comedian that can actually. He does his own style of comedy and has got big with that. Yeah. And that's inspiring. So
Luke Heggie.
Luke Heggie, yeah.
Heggie. Yeah, right. And you say he's got his own style of comedy. What is that?
It's a little bit more poetic, and he talks pretty fast, and he doesn't really leave any gaps for the audience. He's like rolling over them, so you got to try and catch up as he's talking, and he's really lyrical, so he's kind of putting pictures in your head and rolling over you, and you can't catch up, and it's kind of coming on, and
that's the opposite to comedians that'll tell a one-liner, leave a gap for the audience to laugh, and then go into the next joke and stuff.
Yeah. So that's why we're talking about classes. Like comedy classes could be fine. Yeah. But if you give people a recipe for comedy, how are they going to go find out their own personal style?
Yeah, of course.
Like that's kind of the hard part.
They've got to flesh it out themselves and find out who they are as a comedian, or you end up with, like you were saying before, cookie cutter comedians.
Yeah.
If they all take the same courses, then they all come out doing the same sort of style of show, and you're basically going to watch the same show with a different face up there.
Yeah, and that's what they might think that's what comedy is. It's like you have this process where like you're so scared of doing comedy, you just want people to laugh. Yeah. And then once you get that, then the next bit is like, well, how do I want to do it? Yeah. And that's when you start to get style and things into it.
So sort of work your show so you know how to get people laugh, get people tuned in, and then add your own flavour into it.
Yeah, you're just so scared. All you're thinking about is how do I make them laugh?
Yeah, right.
And then you can move on from that.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Jane? Sort of, who did you look up to when you got into acting, singing, dancing and stuff like that? Who were some of your role models in the industry?
Oh, at the time, I was 6 years old when I first started. So you're looking up to your principals and your teachers, and and you sort of pinpoint somebody who, I suppose, who you want to, I'm looking at inspire, who inspires you, and who stands out. I always, it's a funny thing. I know when I was young, I used to sit under the piano with the piano player. I'd sit there. I didn't want to sit with the other kids, the other students, and I would watch the girls who were a lot older than me, and I would say, right, I'm gonna, and I'd just pinpoint who, one particular person. No, but nobody really well known at that time. Yeah. Just a darn good strong dancer or acrobat or whatever, and I'd have this desire. Right, I'm going to be like them. I'm going to do that like them. And I'd watch somebody who was just 10 times better than me. Yeah. So I always was in a challenge zone. I've always been somebody who likes to be in that zone. It's like David Bowie says, when you're walking out into water and when you're walking out into the deeper water and then you suddenly feel that your feet aren't on the ground, that's when you know something exciting's about to happen. Wow. Because you've got that adrenaline. You've got that, you're going to drown. You got adrenaline, you've got your drive, you've got that, so I've always been somebody who it's just been not necessarily, if I said about names who have really, really helped me along the way, when I played the fairy godmother for the opera company, I was absolutely, I just did nothing but watch Johnny Depp.
Oh, wow.
You know how he does the hand, because they didn't give me a wand, and what fairy doesn't have a wand? Right. So Johnny Depp did all this whole hand wave. So I thought, you know what, the magic's going to come out of my fingers.
Yeah.
Did they intentionally not give you a wand? Was that kind of their thing?
Tutu and a magic wand, it's so been done.
Oh yeah, okay.
So been done. Yeah, right.
Tutu and a magic wand, it's so been done. So I thought, how am I going to do the magic? So I've always, I suppose, as I've gone along the way, it's never been one set person. It's been the role of the character that I've been playing at the time. Right. I thought, I like the way that person does it, or I might get a bit of feed off that one, Hugh Jackman, or You know, it hasn't necessarily been a female either.
Because you're always adjusting and playing different characters.
Yes,
You've got to
different
find
roles.
other people to draw inspiration from.
Yeah, and I had a few days thought with Fairy when they said Tutu the Magic Wand, it's so been done. When I read that line, I thought, okay, right, the magic's got to come from somewhere. And, you know, in Pyrex, he's carrying on with all this. I thought, yes.
And it worked?
A bit of Harry Potter, bit of that, you know.
Yeah, can Harry Potter even do magic without his wand?
Yeah, well, that's it, with his stick.
No.
And I think I've just been inspired by not necessarily big names, at times, yes, but just by different mentors, different people along the way, particularly in London when I had this very, very strong, I was surrounded by strong actors.
Yeah.
And that's where I love the style of acting that the English do. I think they're just all so blessed with the gift of acting.
And have you seen anybody sort of early in their careers and just sort of known straight away, like that's somebody that's going to make it in the industry?
I do. Like if I'm teaching in studios and things like that, which actually I do go into studios and teach and choreograph and, you know, different genres. And I can honestly say that I can see that one student who will have that something. And it's not, you know, the last time I said that to somebody, she is now a big, big West End artist. She's actually in the UK. She's my most successful student that I've ever trained.
Yeah.
But it's all about, you're right. I can see it. I can spot, like one principal said to me, she said, you can spot the talent. I said, I can.
Yeah.
I can. But that's years and years and years and years because I started teaching when I was 12.
Wow.
So that's years of...
Teaching when you were 12 years old?
Yeah, I started teaching when I was 12.
Wow.
When I was 12.
And who were you teaching? Like 30-year-olds coming to a 12-year-old?
I went to a school where we were... it was an examination school, competition school, and also performance. We did a lot of TV work and stuff like that. So it was a hardcore training school. Very, very good school. A lot of the schools now in Perth came from that Shirley Halliday dance school. And, you know, there's a lot of very good teachers also that came through there and taught as well. But, I suppose what I was saying is...
Yeah, no, you've seen a lot of talent sort of go from beginning to achieving great things. And what about yourself, Tim? Have you worked with any guys and ladies comedians that you just sort of know that they're going to make it and do good things?
You see like people where you're like, okay, that person has something.
Yeah.
But that's like the start of it.
Yeah.
Then the work needs to be done.
Yeah. And is it the sort of thing like you see some comedians, especially like you guys were saying, you're not very active on the social media, the Instagram and stuff like that. And I see some other comedians that are sort of relentless that put up a post like daily, if not multiple posts a day and stuff. And can you is it sort of thing where like if you throw enough mud, something will stick? And if they just keep on pumping out enough content, eventually something's going to stick? Or do they actually really need to have something about them?
I was told in LA, don't overcook yourself as an artist.
Right.
And then there's other people that say post out every day.
Yeah.
And I've got some friends in the industry who will post out 1, 2, 3 times in a day, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of looking at you. You
It
know,
sounds exhausting.
It is. It's a job within itself.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
put
but-
up something every now and then on Insta and stuff like that, but it's just like I see some guys that are doing it constantly, and I'm just like, wow, man, that's. How do you come up? And a lot of it is sort of hit and miss. Like some of it, I'm just like, why'd you bother? But I suppose they're just in that sort of constantly put stuff up, and like I said, throw enough mud and hope something will stick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like because we're talking that it's a struggle and stuff. For me, I just have to try to find what works for me as an artist.
Yeah.
Because I think we think social media is a thing that has to happen.
Yeah.
But it's a great tool to share what you want to share. But maybe a lot of us are sharing too much of everything.
Too much. Just because you get told the algorithms, like the more you post, the more it'll get shared and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're trying to play the algorithms, but maybe it should be more about quality instead of quantity.
Especially for a comedian, is like, you know, releasing those jokes can be like a really personal thing because now that joke is gone, essentially. Because if someone comes to a show and you tell that same joke, it's not as cool anymore.
Yeah.
Because you need the surprise.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to release like a bunch. I'm going to release like 40 minutes of material next year.
Really?
As like...
And so stuff that's never been, you haven't used yet in any way?
That I haven't,
Wow.
That's kind of where I'm up to at the moment.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to do that and have it mean something rather than post my life. Like I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't post my life, dude. But I guess some people maybe are interested in, hey, you're backstage here, or hey, you're doing that. Like maybe that's interesting to people, but it just isn't good for my life. I don't want to be backstage and putting a social up, you know?
Yeah.
I do little documentaries, so I like do them on my phone where I'll film a night where I'm like going to try a new bit of material. So I'll talk about that and then show what actually happened. And that makes sense to me.
Where do you try new material? Do you have like a good, are you just like trying to chuck it in the middle of an existing show, or are you going out and doing just like, oh, I'll go do a set of all fresh material and see how it works out? Or
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah,
all of the above. Sprinkle it in a bit of old material and then try just new stuff.
Sometimes I'm into, at the moment, just taking up a little square bit of paper and just reading off the joke.
All right.
Like to really like give it no fluff. Because you could fluff into it and then tell the joke and then the crowd's going to laugh.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know what I need to know from that. But it's a more brutal process, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot more bombing going on.
Yeah, right.
In that scenario.
And where are you doing that? Is that like at the Experimental Comedy Club or like the Gong shows and stuff? Or
the Gong Show is a terrible place to do new material.
Really?
But I used to do that quite a lot.
You get gonged.
Yeah, have you seen that show?
Literally that.
Yeah, I used to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it can be such a brutal experience.
Like, if you're not getting a laugh, they just hit the gong and send you off.
If you're not laughing, well, you go and try and make the audience laugh. If they don't like you, they hold their plates up, and then if enough people are holding plates up, they smash a gong and they play a terrible song.
I thought it was just if they're not laughing, but people are actually putting their plate up, basically
people
saying,
are booing,
get this guy off the stage.
People are yelling gong.
Really?
Yeah, it's gnarly. It can be.
You've got to be thick skin.
Yeah.
Do you get many hecklers? I mean, in Broadway and comedy, do you get hecklers in Broadway and stuff?
Internet trolls.
Internet trolls.
More online, hey?
Right.
Yeah, I don't really get that because, like, I mean, I don't post enough to get that. And if somebody does put up a kind of a nasty or, you know, ridiculous comment, I'll just delete it.
Can you be in the middle of a song and then someone in the crowd's like, I don't like this song?
I've never had that, which is, I think I'm really blessed.
Yeah.
To have never had that.
Do you get that in comedy? People yelling out and just like,
constantly.
That wasn't funny.
Oh.
Constantly.
Really?
Yeah, especially regional gigs. Like regional gigs is a battle.
You're already struggling, eh? Like it's already a small crowd, small gig, and like you must have to amp yourself up to get up there, and then someone just wants to yell out in the middle of your show instead of organising their own show.
Yeah, and they do. A lot of people come to comedy to participate.
Yeah.
Right, but not actually be on stage.
Yeah. I remember going to a comedy gig once and there was a dude sitting there just with his arms folded and didn't want to get into it. And I was just like, why are you here, mate? You know, like you're not in the right headspace to be sitting there watching a comedy gig. But
I love all that stuff.
How do you deal with hecklers?
You just get into it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you fire back at them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you can't be angry.
You got to be clever with it, I suppose.
You can't. I found that out the hard way. You know, I got angry at an audience once and bombed my ass off, and learnt the lesson the hard way. Had to really check myself and be like, well, what was the issue?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're doing regionals, you're in a battle with the audience. We went to where's the coal mine? Where's that place? Down south a little bit.
Down south? I'm thinking up north when you
Collie?
say coal mine.
Collie.
Oh, Collie.
Yeah, right.
We had the biggest battle of our lives. It was just an hour of
That's a rough town.
backwards and forwards.
Collie.
What,
with
you and the
audience.
crowd?
Yeah. Because they want to engage.
Wow.
And they don't really want to hear your... That's why I like festivals, because people are willing to listen to your funky idea.
Right.
But like an open mic or a lot of shows with older audiences who expect an interaction, you're just going at it. They're going to say something, you need to try and say something funny, then they something, and then you say something funny, and
far out.
Backwards and forwards.
But the festivals, that's like your fringe shows and stuff?
Yes.
Or? Right, because they're paying to go see a show and they're expecting to see something.
Yeah, and they're trying to
different.
listen to ideas more at a festival, right? Rather.
Yeah. And did you hit other fringe shows and stuff and sort of get inspiration from?
I see a lot of those guys all year. I see a lot of comedy.
Right, yeah.
Because you're seeing everyone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go and see some people who are coming into town.
Yeah.
I'll go and see pros. I'll try and talk to some pros at gigs. Yeah, you're trying to talk to mentor-y people that are in the biz, that are doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Networking and stuff like that. Have you ever come up with material that you thought was funny, but you couldn't deliver on stage? So you've sort of thought, oh, this might work for your mate or something? And
Yeah. The flannel panel, we all write with each other in the car.
Oh, right.
We got 3.5 hours
in
to get to the gig.
On the road.
Yeah.
There and back. And you try not to drink too much before the show. So you just start flicking jokes off to people. And, Gareth McKean or Jimmy Curat's, the other guys I do it with, we will kick it backwards and forwards. And then that night, someone will try it.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Actually, it's funny because in comedy, you're not supposed to steal other people's jokes.
Yeah.
But we do steal each other's jokes.
Yeah.
So the other guy can't use it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Just for fun.
So if you come up with a joke as a group and your mate's like, oh, yeah, I've got this down, but you end up on stage first.
Yeah.
You've ripped off his joke, so then you leave him with nothing when he gets up on. That's hilarious. I like that.
And there's a funny thing happened. Gareth McKean is doing Jimmy Curatz's best joke.
Oh,
and
no.
We keep filming it and sending it to Jimmy Curat's from the gigs.
Oh, right. So he's doing it now as is part of his regular set.
Yeah, and then showing the other guy, like, look, I'm doing your joke.
And killing with it as well.
Yeah.
That's
Which
funny,
is
man.
against the rules, but it's funny.
Well, it's between mates and stuff that have clicked like that, then sure, why not?
Yeah.
I might quickly just chuck a song on. We will check our refreshments and then come back soon and chat a little bit more. I want to ask you about your documentaries and ask you both a few more questions and then we might wrap it up. But we'll go to a little bit of Sunday Suit by, actually, this guy's name is Tyne. I've been introducing him now because I heard the song about a month or two ago. I've been introducing him as Tiny James Organ, like a couple of dozen times on the radio. Found out the other day that they don't pronounce the E on the end. It's just Tyne James Organ. Feel like a bit of an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
That's all right.
Is what it is.
All my error.
Yeah.
You know, everyone
and a
makes errors,
recurring
isn't it?
error. So
And unfortunately, once you've said it, it's like...
it's already out there now. And I did
is.
it multiple times, so I've just got to own it, you know? I've got to own my victories and my failures.
Do you get a bit tired at night time, though, sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah, because I
fatigued?
also have a day job and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll be up at 6:30 tomorrow morning to go out and be a tradie at day and radio host by night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giddy up. Anyway, here it
Giddy
is,
up.
Sunday Suit by Tyne James Organ.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
So what were we just talking about? You're going back into kitchens.
Oh, that's the next little project that's coming up. Yeah.
Right, and filming that.
Documentary style.
Yeah, right.
Just
Cool.
a day in a kitchen, and maybe talk to the chef afterwards. But I want to do high level kitchens and
High-level
maybe
kitchens.
fail miserably.
What's the sort of highest level kitchens around Perth here and stuff in
Down
WA?
south, some of those wineries are amazing.
Really?
They are.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
really
right.
really good.
Yeah.
Really high level, good fine dining.
Local
Yeah.
inventive.
produce.
Yeah, and inventive in what they're doing. So
And you must know a lot about produce and stuff as well. Are you eating the stuff that you buy from the supermarket off the shelf? or-
I grow a garden. I have a garden and some chickens and stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
That's cool,
because
man.
I had an urban farm, so I kind of got into it.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to do
Yeah.
because, like,
Yeah,
I
we
travel
grow some
and
veggies
stuff.
at home. We get some cherry tomatoes and some cucumbers and stuff like that. Some silver beets been coming through, bits like that. But I don't know if we can grow enough to make it fully sustainable, like all the
Nah.
time.
Just like grow 30% for yourself, and
Yeah, right.
get some other good stuff if you can.
Yeah.
But like this time of year is fine, but I'll start traveling coming into next year, so it all goes out the window.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't look after your garden, stuff like that. So you're going to end up eating what you can on the road. While I suppose you're going into good kitchens though, so you should
Well,
be
maybe
eating pretty
that's a
good.
good angle.
Yeah,
Go get
yeah,
some free
yeah.
food.
That'll make up
Yes.
for it. Yeah,
Shoot a
cool.
documentary.
That's right.
Get a meal.
Yeah. So, but the documentary for the flannel panel and stuff like that. So that could be like if you boys take off, or any of you take off. That's like some grassroots footage you're collecting. Basically.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I wish I didn't have to shoot myself so much,
Yeah.
but
Why is that?
because I like doing the process of making documentaries. Like I have a few different projects as a video editor, and I enjoy those. I shoot a guy who does huge TikToks. He talks to people on the streets of Perth.
Oh, right.
and he's massive. And I enjoy doing the back end process of it
Wow.
more than being in front of it. But, you shoot what you shoot, and the flannel stuff was good. We got some great ones out there on YouTube and stuff. So,
Yeah, right. They're getting some views and stuff like that.
yeah, getting some views, and it shows you exactly what happens on a regional gig, and pretty rough and ready. And
So is it footage of you boys travelling between gigs and stuff like that, and
Yep.
just bouncing material off each other and stuff?
Yep, and then the shows, and then we do this thing called a local larrikin where we'll offer anyone to get up on stage for 5 minutes, and there's some of those guys getting up and what their experience was like. And
Yeah, right. And conspiracy theories as well. Is that, where do you sort of get into that?
I used to love it
Yeah.
as a chef and stuff.
Yeah,
I
right.
got really into it, man. And it's like, aliens and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. If they're out there, I loved Ancient Aliens. Do you know that TV
Ancient
series?
Aliens. I've heard of it. Rings a
It's
bell.
a killer TV series, and
Yeah.
pyramids and
Yeah, right.
stone cut holes. And I love just any idea that's kind of like, well, what exactly is going on?
And what about the government ones and like Bohemian Grove and stuff like that? And
I don't care so much about that because it's just human beings being weird.
yeah, but the aliens and stuff. And
Maybe. Yeah.
what about like mermaids? How do you feel about mermaids?
I think people were tripping balls quite a lot more than we thought.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Very much, yes.
I actually seen a picture of it was like a beluga whale or something, and it looked like it had knees and stuff. It was just the way it got caught while it was flipping or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're saying, someone was saying, this is what I reckon people seen after they spent too long at sea, and they're like, oh, mermaids and stuff, But
Yeah, but like pirates and sea stories and all of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
All
think
the
there was
mythology and
mermaids, but I
stuff.
think people just getting crazy. No vitamin C out there, just
yeah,
full
Scurvy.
hallucinations.
yeah, a little bit of scurvy kicks
all
in, and they're
kinds- yeah.
coming up with some wild stories.
Human beings are just trippers, like
Yeah.
full trippers. So
Literally.
Yeah, mate, it goes
they
back
are.
to sort of Greek mythology and the stories that come out of that. People are just storytellers, and I
The
think
Medusa.
it sort of comes down to people are always sort of trying to escape life or create like an alternate life, and I suppose that's in acting and stuff as well. You're sort of creating alternate worlds and alternate fantasies, and that's where back in the day it was just storytelling. These days it's like people have completely alternative lifestyles that are online.
yeah,
People's online lifestyles are actually completely different to the ones they live.
yeah,
and
nothing's more trippy than technology. That's for sure.
yeah, man, it's
That's
wild
it.
these days.
But all those Greeks used to drink wine with LSD in it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
You've never listened to Joe Rogan's podcast before, dude? He talks
Yeah,
about it
some of it.
all the time.
I
yeah,
missed
yeah.
that one.
Didn't
Yeah.
Coke have cocaine in it years ago?
Yep.
Yeah, it did,
Years ago.
absolutely.
So there you go.
As,
See, well, that's what our parents would have been
Coke
doing.
Vino.
Yeah,
It was Coke mixed with wine.
Yeah, cocaine.
And then prohibition came in on the alcohol or something. So they couldn't have it in the wine anymore. So that's why they made Coca-Cola.
Yep.
And that's how it started in Coca-Cola, and then they had to take it out eventually.
did.
But,
Yeah.
Oh.
Shame.
Bummer.
Bummer.
There's still there's got to be like a crate of the old stuff out there somewhere.
Yeah.
The pure stuff.
Yeah, like the real-
Yeah. Fermented well. It's
They're
aged
all really
well.
skinny, but they had no teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they used to use heroin as like to put babies to sleep. Do you know that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah.
On the dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would.
A bit
They
of brandy
gum
or
like
whatever,
that.
They
yeah.
would.
It was all acceptable back then, eh? But
So I
then
just
some
think
people
we're-
take it too far.
We're just full trippers, man. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're all, at some point, we want, I don't know, maybe more than the lives we have, and we want to create a different sort of reality and stuff. And
Fantasy. It's a lovely
yeah,
world.
I think it's within our
Glitter
nature,
and sparkle, smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
It's all wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you can bring it back to reality too.
Yeah.
Some artists can't. Some people
Some
can't.
people
Yeah.
don't.
They're
they
in it.
just stay
They're just
there.
in it.
Yeah.
Someone was asking me the other day about being a creative. Because, like Jim Carrey. I used to
Yes.
love Jim Carrey. He was like
Yeah.
my favorite person.
Yes.
And being creative, it just seems you kind of go off an edge at some point.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come back. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he got really typecast, and it's hard to sort of see Jim Carrey do anything that's not over the top. Because I think it's just sort of you expect something from Jim Carrey, and I've seen him do a couple of different movies where he doesn't play that character, and you're waiting for it to come out.
Yes.
You're waiting for him to break into that good old Ace Ventura or like The Mask or something like that. You know, like that old character that he done so well. But yeah, that's interesting. You guys got some gigs coming up?
Yes.
What are we looking at, Jane?
Yes. Crazy rehearsals at the moment because I've got 47 songs to get down.
47 songs?
Yeah, I have got 47 songs.
For one show or?
For one show. Oh, and also it's
That's a good
Jane.
show.
Yeah, so that's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But we're all over it. That'll be with my vocal duo partner and myself and a saxophonist, all from the southwest.
Yeah.
So it's Phil Strawn. We come under the name JNP, or JP, which is Jane and Phil.
Yeah.
So I've got that big gig coming up, which is because literally, like, normally you do 3 sets, right? As like I was saying to you before.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing a gig, but New Year's Eve, like it's literally starting at 8, finishing at 1 in the morning.
Yeah,
so,
it's got to go through midnight.
You know, it's hard. It's a good thing I've got a strong voice.
Yeah.
You know, because I just keep it going. So yeah, it is a big stretch, which just a lot more material, a lot more content. But I'll get my head around it. That's not a problem. And then January, so that's New Year's Eve. That's actually at Smalls Bar. They've got $100. Yeah, they've got $100. It's $100 a ticket.
Yep.
The tickets are selling like hotcakes at the moment. So you're just going to smalls.bar. But that's bottomless cocktails.
Oh, wow.
Beer, wine, spirits, food.
Yeah.
It's all local
You've got to give them
produce.
some food, or they get a little bit intoxicated.
Everything everything's local produce.
I think you only need about 27 songs, then everyone will be dead.
Last year, I did the
Bottomless
same gig
cocktails.
last year, right? I did the same gig last year, and they had a ball, and they rebooked us within the first week of this year to come back.
Yep.
People had a blast. Like, we're trying to get them off stage because they're up there trying to dance and swing off my microphone
really?
stand, the pole, and it's like, I mean, it was a very good night. It doesn't sound very classy, does it? But it was a great night.
Sounds like a good night.
Fantastic cocktails. It's all local produce. Everything is from the southwest, including the spirits.
That's awesome.
So it's the list is extensive. If you go into Smalls Bar's website, we can book the ticket. $100 at the moment, but from the 23rd of December it goes up to $140. But that's for 5 hours, unlimited.
It's not bad.
You
$20 an hour.
You just keep going. You just keep drinking and going. It's very quick to clock up.
And what song's getting played straight after midnight? What's the first song that gets played in the new year?
Ooh La La.
Ooh La La.
Ooh La La. No, I this year I'm going to sing a song and then I'll go into the DJ tracks. So I'm actually going to sing All Fired Up.
Oh, right. And so obviously performing during these gigs, you must have to stay pretty sober while everybody else around you being a New Year's Eve party is getting rather intoxicated.
I don't drink a drop.
Oh, right.
I'm not a big drinker anyway. It's very like tonight I've had one sip.
Yeah.
Because it actually affects my vocals as well. I actually can't hit the top. So in those bigger, larger songs where, you're hitting that full belt,
that's the sacrifices you got to make for your art form,
but yeah, it doesn't bother me though. Like, I can go to a bar or go to a restaurant or go wherever and just not drink for months.
Yeah.
Like, and then randomly, like tonight, you offered me a drink.
CC and
there I
dry.
go. It's still sitting there with one sip taken out of it. But yeah, so no, it doesn't bother me. I cannot perform and drink at the same. It just does not go together ever.
Oh, that's all right,
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good actually, because some bands and artists go in there and they want the growler package, the esky with all that. We want the